Owning a share of stock means you're literally a part owner of a company. And as an owner, you're entitled to a portion of the company's profits. That idea is captured by one of the most important financial metrics in investing, earnings per share, or EPS. In today's video, we'll break down what EPS really means, how to calculate it, where to find it in company reports, what makes it change over time, and how to use it wisely when evaluating stocks. Hey there, this is Mavic Finance, where complex investing concepts are explained in the simplest way possible. But before we begin, a quick disclaimer. Let's start with the basics, the EPS formula. At the top, we have net income, which is the company's total profit after all expenses and taxes. And we subtract preferred dividends, then divide that by the number of outstanding common shares. Now, what exactly are preferred dividends? Preferred stock represents a special class of ownership that gives certain shareholders priority when receiving dividends. These preferred shareholders usually receive a fixed dividend, but unlike common shareholders, they don't have voting rights. Since these dividends are paid first, we subtract them from net income before calculating EPS because they aren't available to common shareholders. To summarize, EPS equals net income, preferred dividends, divided by shares outstanding. Now, let's quickly see how you can find this number in real life. Head to Yahoo Finance, type the name of any company followed by Yahoo Finance, and look for the EPS figure listed on the summary page. Keep in mind that this number might not always be up to date, especially for smaller companies, so it's a good idea to verify it through other reliable sources before making decisions. Let's go through an example to make it clear. Suppose we have two tech companies, Company A and Company B. Company A has a net income of $5 million, preferred dividends of $200,000, and 1 million shares outstanding. Company B has a net income of $8 million, preferred dividends of $300,000, and 2 million shares outstanding. Using our formula, Company A's EPS is $4.80, while Company B's EPS is $3.85. Even though Company B earned more total profit, Company A's EPS is higher, meaning each share of Company A generates more profit for shareholders. This suggests that Company A is more efficient at turning profit into shareholder value, which could make it more attractive to value investors. However, EPS alone doesn't tell the full story. Company B still earns more in absolute terms, which could mean it's a larger, more established business. To really understand which company is a better investment, investors should also look at other factors like revenue growth, debt, cash flow, and earnings stability over time. EPS can also be negative, which happens when a company reports a loss, meaning its expenses exceed its revenue. Startups or fast-growing companies often show negative EPS early on because they're reinvesting heavily to expand. A negative EPS doesn't always mean trouble, but it does mean investors should dig deeper into the company's financials, checking revenue trends, cash flow, and debt levels for a clearer picture. So what makes EPS go up or down over time? There are two main factors: profits and shares outstanding. When a company's net income rises, its EPS increases. That's good news for investors. If net income falls, EPS drops. On the other hand, if a company issues new shares, EPS might decrease because the same profit is now divided among more shareholders. This is called share dilution. Think of it like a birthday cake. If more guests arrive, you have to cut more slices so each piece becomes smaller. Similarly, issuing more shares means smaller profit slices for each shareholder. The opposite is also true. If a company buys back its own shares, there are fewer slices to divide, and each share gets a bigger portion of profits. This boosts EPS. Some companies do this intentionally to make their earnings per share look stronger, which can attract more investors. EPS also plays a key role in another major valuation metric, the price-to-earnings (PE) ratio. If you haven't seen our video on that yet, check it out after this one. The PE ratio compares a company's stock price to its EPS by dividing price by earnings per share. Generally, the higher the stock price relative to earnings, the more likely it is that the stock could be overvalued. But as always, context matters. Before we wrap up, let's quickly look at the pros and cons of EPS. Pros: it's easy to calculate and understand. It gives a quick snapshot of profitability per share. It helps compare companies within the same industry. Cons: it doesn't consider debt or future growth potential. Companies with fewer shares can appear more profitable than they really are. It can be manipulated through accounting tactics or share buybacks. That's why EPS should always be used alongside other metrics before making investment decisions. And that's all for today. I hope this explanation made EPS crystal clear. If you found this helpful, let me know in the comments. I'll be replying to your questions personally. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to Mavic Finance for more easy-to-understand investing lessons. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.